What's up, everybody? How you doing, man? This is your boy Darius Fentress, and I want to thank y'all for being in the studio with me today. Make sure you like, subscribe to this channel. We got some great content coming on the way. Today, I got a special guest, my friend and my brother, Asaph Ward. How's it going, man?
Brother, it's so good to see you. First of all, congratulations on your new venture that you're doing. I'm glad to get the invite. I'm in the season of sharing, so I'm excited to be here.
Yes, man. You are one of my favorite people to talk to. Your wisdom from life to music to recording to everything is so on point all the time. And it's always a great honor to be able to chat with you,
Man,
man.
that's a blessing. Wow, that's a blessing. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I started this channel because you know me. I'm a studio rat, man. I love recording. I love mixing. I love everything that has to do with music production. And you are one of the best when it comes to production, and just your sound is so distinct and unique, and people know immediately when it's an Asaph Ward production. At least I feel like they do. And so, man, tell me
Wow.
how did you come into your sound? Like when you talking about in the studio, like how long did it take you to be comfortable in the studio?
Well, first of all, who paid you to say all this? Uh, well, let me say this. It wasn't an easy journey. I was just, speaking with someone yesterday and letting them know that it's good to recognize the truth. The truth was nobody really trusted me to do production
Wow.
in gospel music when I first started.
Wow.
And that's, I don't regret it. It was a hard feeling at the time, and I didn't understand it then, but it opened up the door for me because who did trust me was the mainstream uh, world. They wanted me to come over there and work with them, and so the last mainstream project I was working on, I was working with Boys to Men, and actually when I was out in the world working, I learned a lot of my production savvy from there because from a technical standpoint, there were do's and don'ts working with good engineers, good mixers,
Hmm.
because they weren't mixing things like us. They wasn't just going in the studio and mixing it any kind of way and
Right.
using a whole bunch of tracks and not making corrections on live recordings and stuff. I
Mm.
just learned a lot of
Right.
do's and don'ts out there, but it was just a horrible experience life wise. I mean, I'm a good guy. I'm not really good at being in the world. I was in the world. I
Hmm.
did. Let me make that clear. I've done a lot. I've been to a lot of places. Done a lot of things, but it was never my style to be living a worldly lifestyle. So when I was out there doing music, I didn't like the places I had to go. I
Mm.
didn't like the clubs. I didn't like going to, I mean, sometimes after the studio, whoever I was writing with, they was going to the strip joint. I had to go there. Like, no.
Right. Right.
Like, why we got to go there? And
Right.
y'all can laugh all day, be like, yeah, you wanted to go. No, listen, the style of person I am, I don't want to be nowhere with a whole bunch of dudes, looking at that. Like, that didn't make sense to me. It makes sense to
Right.
everybody else. But
Man.
the point is, I didn't like what it represented.
Yeah.
Most of the times it represented a lot of alcohol being in the room.
Right.
It represented a lot of drugs being in the room. It represented just random women in the room. It's like it was just not the lifestyle for me. But I learned a lot
Hmm.
while I was out there. Once I learned that I needed to come back, and I kept hearing the voice of the Lord, you know, come give gospel another chance. At least you got the Lord on your side when you go over there. So
Right.
by the time I came back over, which is there's other details and different things like me leaving secular music and signing over certain percentages of artists that I had percentages of and stuff like that just to leave because they weren't gonna let me leave. I did a
Oh, that's
lot of
deep.
things that I had to give up and then turn it on the Keenan Ivan Wayans show. One of the artists was on there, and then Boyce Man came down the stairs and presented him with a platinum plaque that I was very much a part of,
Wow.
and I gave that stuff up. So I was in a sad place in my personal opinion that gospel don't trust me, secular doesn't make sense to me, the lifestyle of it didn't
Mm-hmm.
work out. So it was the Lord. I asked him, I said, Lord, you got to do something. Lord, you
Wow.
got to do something. And that's when the Kim Burrell record happened.
Man.
so so after that record, which I wasn't supposed to do the whole record, I was supposed to do 2 songs. They asked me for 2 songs. I demoed 10 songs, and they didn't know what it was. It was like, we don't know what this is. Just finish these 10, and that's how I ended up doing the whole album. But after that, the gospel industry trusted me. Like, up to date, 80 albums later. So I've bumped my head a lot. I've made some great choices. I made some bad choices
Mm-hmm.
with production. I learned when a bad choice is a good choice. I learned when to take a risk and not to take a risk.
Mm-hmm.
And I got comfortable in the studio because I realized that I was going to be a producer, because that's really what I felt like I was called to do. And I first thought it was to create records for people, but I realized that people needed someone to be emotionally available to them while they're recording their gift.
That's deep.
Emotionally available.
Yeah.
I had the skill. I could play. I could write. I knew how to do vocal harmonies, and I was a vocal. My mom was a whole vocal trainer, so I
Mm-hmm.
picked up on her stuff and my stuff. I was a vocal trainer. I knew how to do the action of production.
Right.
But when you get an artist in the studio and they don't feel like singing that day, your talent don't mean nothing,
Right.
because you got to bring the artists to the table and put them out in their best light. And a lot of times being able to be available for them emotionally, and that doesn't mean anything soft and sensitive. It's just understanding that they need help being put in a zone so they can be the best version of themselves. And I got to know what's working for them, what's not working for them. This aggravates them. This doesn't aggravate them. They haven't eaten. They didn't eat last week, and we didn't get nothing done. They're gonna have to eat this week,
Mm-hmm.
so they get it. It's
Yeah.
just really looking at everything. And I got to the point where I realized that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help put people in their best light.
Yeah.
That's what makes me comfortable in the studio, because I know what I'm really there doing. There's too many people that can play, sing,
Right.
train, write, arrange, but they don't know how to manage the emotions of these artists.
Right. And you know what, Asaph, that to me is the mark of a great producer. It's more than being a musician. It's more than being an arranger, a sonic, whatever, a crafter of sonic landscapes. You have to know how to manage people. And
Yeah.
I'm fortunate to know you, know your wife, and you are like a psychologist, really. I mean, you
Well, let me tell you that I got into personal development because, um, after doing so many records, I've gained a lot of friends that are
hmm
therapists.
yeah.
They got their PhDs and they therapists and stuff, and we will have these conversations. They're like, Asaph, man, you need to come on this side. You need to be over here with us. You need to go on and get at least your. I said, I don't want to write no prescriptions. I don't want to do all
Right,
that y'all
right.
doing. It's like, well, you don't have to do that. Just get your certification, and study and learn what this means and that means, whatever. So I went and got my certification, and because I wanted to understand what borderline personality disorder is,
hmm
what is bipolar, what is the difference between bipolar and depression, what is oppression, what's the time limit of diagnosis of that, all that stuff. I
hmm
had to go and get certified for that because I want to help other creatives be able to work through their stuff.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, life happens and I wouldn't be, it wouldn't be fair for me to say that you should be able to do your gift no matter how you feel.
hmm
So I want to help people through the things that they're going through. So I do personal development, I do transformational coaching. So because of that, I sound like that.
Hey man,
I sound like that.
look,
But
I've experienced your coaching, in a group setting, and it was life changing. Really, I mean, you were pulling things out of me that I've never done. I don't consider
Wow.
myself to be any type of singer or vocalist at all, but you had us walking through vocal exercises that I've never heard my voice resonate like that before. Singing, I've
Wow.
always shied away from that, but because of the way you unlock the psyche of just letting all the insecurities go and
Wow.
just going for it, it was incredible. It was like a new
Wow.
experience. So as you have gone through this journey of getting your
It's cool.
certifications, how has that directly impacted how you relate to artists while working on records?
Oh, well, for one, I always had the knack to do these things. I just didn't understand how it works. What it did was it helped me not judge them so fast.
Mm,
There's nothing like being in the studio. If I bring you in the studio, Darius, to do some tracks, and you just could have had a bad day. Now I'm
mm-hmm,
gonna tell you something. You one of those ones that know how to have a bad day and still come in and do what you're supposed to do.
mm-hmm.
But it's important for me to establish working relationships to where you can be honest with me about it, so I can we can work together to get the best performance out of you. Because as I keep telling people, producing is making decisions and getting the best performances out of the particular task that you're doing. It's about not being perfect. It's not about making somebody sound like somebody else or anything else. It's putting that artist, that particular feature, in their best light.
Mm-hmm.
You can't put somebody in their best light and you don't understand them.
Right.
So it helped me understand people. It helped me understand when I don't need to be working with Darius today because I'm going to mess up getting him in his best light.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm, because of how I felt, I'm taking some tracks home and that weren't your best.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fair. So it just kind of taught me that people are people and everyone deserves the opportunity to have a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
And until you recognize people need to be unlocked sometimes, you're not going to be able to do that. So that's how it directly helped me. It impacted me to help me work with people, because now people just know they're coming. They know they're going to get I'm going to get the best out of them. They don't even come expecting failure.
Oh
They
wow.
come expecting me to pick up whatever pieces are missing. They just know that that's what I'm going to try to do. And I'm going to be honest with them. And that's the relationship we build.
Yeah.
I worked with an artist once, and bless her, they wouldn't talk to the company
Hmm.
without without me there.
Wow.
And I mean, they would not talk to them. They wouldn't answer them. They're talking to this person and they were not even responding. But then I had to fly. I had to be around so communication can happen. It's because I provide a safe place for artists to do what they need to do, and it's a cutthroat industry out here. Record labels
Yeah.
are very interesting. They do what they have to do, and then sometimes they're there this month, and sometimes a person ain't there the next month, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like artists deserve a safe place so they can do their craft. So I
Yeah.
provide a safe place.
Man, that's amazing, man. And you do have that gift, man, to really make people feel comfortable in order for them to produce at their highest level. And like I said before, that is the mark of a really gifted producer and just really a people person. You just know how to unlock things. That's a great gift. Uh, so when you're working and you're getting the most out of whoever it is you're working with, how do you balance that creative process with trying to technically get the best out of people, or even like equipment that you're using? Like, how do you know what to use for who or for whatever situation?
Well, um, let me say this, because of two things. I'm gonna talk about one thing. because I'm a fulfilled person, and you and
Mm.
I have had this conversation
Yeah.
before. Because I'm fulfilled, I use things that work. I don't just be. I use the most simple
Mm.
things. I am going to use. I'm gonna find the mic that works for an artist. I'm going to run it through a basic mic chain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not about to be just because I'm a producer. I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna use that. Oh, let me try this, and oh, such use this, so I'm gonna try that.
Mm-hmm.
I use what works, and I have simple things to where I can just plug and play. I just don't have a need to impress myself.
Ah, that's good.
That's what being fulfilled to do, because when you're unfulfilled, I say this all the time, when you're an unfulfilled creative, when you're unfulfilled, you are going to make decisions that can fulfill you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's not going to work out for the artist. Sometimes it's not going to work out for you. Sometimes it's not going to work out for your gear,
Mm-hmm.
because you might hear that on Chris Brown's album or some other album, you like how the vocals sound, that the engineer, you heard that they compressed it very hard or
Right.
something. So now that's what you're going to go do. And I'm not a manufactured person. I consider, I have a course that I teach called uh, Are You a Manufactured Creative, or Are You a Creator
Mm.
Creative? Because manufactured creatives, they're going to always lean on what already exists,
Right.
and they're going to build on that, and they won't build their own identity that way. They're going to sound like somebody else all the time
Right.
versus trying to create something special and new. So no, I use simple stuff. You'll be shocked. The stuff that I use, like I don't have none of it turned on right now, but I use Pro Tools.
Mm-hmm.
I have it in its simplest form. When I open up a session, I use back here, that shield right there. My Sony mic is behind there. I have a Sony uh, 800
Mm-hmm.
G
Yep.
back there, and it's running straight into this Presonus uh, interface. And now I'm not even running it through a limiter or anything.
Yeah.
Now I'm just running it straight through it and just getting the cleanest signal. And I don't feel like the knob's got to be in the yellow or it's not great. I
Right.
just
Right.
put it where it needs to be.
Yeah.
I just record very simple. I get good performances. When you do good performances, you don't need to do all of that.
That's so
You
true.
don't have to do all of that, because when you're done, it's going to go to a mixer and you're going to be expected them to perform a miracle on bad performances.
Oh
You
man.
can't do that.
Man, you are that is the thing that just drives me nuts as someone who has worked a long time to try to be the best audio engineer, the best mix engineer I could be. I hate when people give me garbage and expect me to make it diamonds or something, you know?
That felt really good for you to say that it was garbage. You've been wanting to say it. You just
Right.
don't. You ain't got nobody to tell that. You can't keep
Man,
telling Nisha that, because it ain't the.
right.
Has no. Listen, that's exactly. Um, you know, it's hard to adopt and inherit somebody's bad stuff,
Mm.
and then you got to come in and clean it up and fix it.
Yeah.
I feel like good performances can be worked on,
Mm-hmm.
can be mixed, and you
Yes.
can do wonders with it. And we're not talking about perfect performances.
Exactly.
We're not talking about flawless and you sound like this person performances. We're talking about the best. It's clean. It's not distorted. The artist did the best that they could.
Mm-hmm.
They're on pitch. And even if they weren't on pitch, the producer was able to go in and melodyne it or tune it in a way to where when it comes to you, all you gotta do is place it right, EQ it, and do whatever. That's
Yeah.
just a dream. And I just, you don't know this, but I just put the bulletin out. I'm no longer taking anything that stresses me out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not, because though music is a beautiful thing, I'm not taking on anything that's going to cause my blood sugar to go up, or
Yeah.
just being stressed out and anxiety because I'm trying to fix something that should have been fixed before it got to me.
Man, you're saying a lot right now. you are saying a lot, and I want to thank you because you mentioned just a few minutes ago how you take the time to make sure the vocal is tuned. If you need to melodyne it, you do it. I don't understand producers that expect a mix engineer to do those tasks like that. Like,
Oh, I do. I do. I understand why. You know, like I said, the world is evolving.
mm-hmm,
We went from 2-inch tape. There's engineers that know how to splice 2-inch tape,
man,
and they know how to punch on the fly.
man,
When Pro Tools came in, I came in. I was producing, but I was using engineers because I didn't know how to run 2-inch tape.
right,
I knew how to load it up. I learned how to do that, but I wasn't the guy to punch. And if you messed up a punch, you had to do it again.
oh yeah,
2-inch tape was different. But when Pro Tools came out, I was with Pro Tools when it was 1.0, when it first started.
oh yeah,
And the thing about Pro Tools is engineers that was doing 2-inch tape, it evolved on them
mm-hmm,
to where it got easier for us.
right,
And now it's getting easier for the newer guys because they got these computers that got the plugins already and everything. And the truth of the matter is there are engineers out there that are unfulfilled producers.
yeah,
So what happens is they put themselves in a predicament to take on the projects because they want to tune it. They want to do the effects. They want to do all these things. And a producer knows they don't have to do that now. A lot of time these mixers are producers
yeah,
that are unfulfilled in that area, and they get an opportunity to play. I call it playing.
mm-hmm,
They just get to play. That's one of the reasons why it's happening. And the second reason is everybody who's producing, I mean, it's sad to say, and it's bad judgment, but everybody's not a producer.
right,
Some people are just an incredible musician, or they're incredible creative,
yep,
but really didn't take the oath of what a producer does.
right,
So
right,
they just might need some mentoring or something like that. That's why they're not taking the time to do it. But if somebody say, "Hey, man, next time, do you know how to tune?"
mm-hmm,
When I was working with David Foster, when I was working with David Foster,
oh yeah, yeah. Speak on that.
well, I was when I was working with David Foster, I shined really well to him. But then my job was done. I'm at home. I thought I was done. He hit me up. He says, "Hey, man, you tune, don't you?" Now, I do. I was tuning different.
Right.
But he says, "Great, you do tune?" He said, "Great. I need you to tune these vocals and blah, 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 blah." And, but he wanted me to use Melodyne.
Okay.
I had never used Melodyne. Never. I had other ways that I tune.
Right.
And it'll sound like I use Melodyne, but I ain't never used Melodyne.
Yeah, yeah.
So instead of telling him I never used Melodyne, I just said, "Okay, all right, I'll get it to you."
Yep.
And I pulled up Melodyne, and I just had to learn it so fast.
Blob by blob.
Yeah. But what I did was I realized, man, I should have been using this.
Yeah.
And then what ended up happening was I did it. I sent it. He loved it. And I learned a new thing.
Yeah.
And I've been using Melodyne ever since. And it's kind of like a producer has to be challenged sometimes to do some things they're not used to doing, but somebody has to challenge.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it, man. That's a great perspective of the engineers being unfulfilled producers. Like I see that a lot, especially like on online tutorials and everything. And it is so much. It's so many toys out now. It's so many things out that could either make something sound really good, or it could destroy an entire song, if not used properly.
Man, it's so true. And the truth is, I can't get mad at technology for making life easier for people.
Right.
I like, man, where was it when I needed it?
Right.
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 And I got to a place to where I I just had to take on a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Man, the day I learned that Asaph Ward don't know everything,
Yeah.
well, that shut my mouth, boy.
Yeah, that's a humbling day right there.
It's a humbling day. It's a real day.
Yeah.
It's a real day. It's a real day. It's a real day.
Yeah.
I never just walked around like I thought I knew everything.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did was I did realize that there were some things that Asaph Ward did not know
Right.
that he needed to learn.
Yeah.
And I just went to school. I'm always a student. I don't care how many records I did. I don't care what artists I work with. There's always something I can learn.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love hearing that because, like you said earlier, when David Foster sent you those records to tune, you didn't know how to use Melodyne, but you took the risk, right?
Yes.
And I know in my own life, it's been moments and times where I didn't want to fail. I didn't
Yes.
want to look like I didn't know what I was doing, so I wouldn't take the risk. But not taking the risk stunts your growth.
It does. It's not only does it stunt your growth, but it it's gonna sound funny. It's not real.
Mm.
It's not real to fool humans isn't real unless you're a type of person that is affirmed by people.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's a lot of people out there that's affirmed by people. Then yeah, you're gonna lie about a lot of things. But I'm affirmed by what I do. I'm affirmed by the work I do. If I did well, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
If I didn't do well, I don't care how great you think I was. I'm gonna be like, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what I need to do. I'm affirmed by myself. So lying to you that I know how to do something don't work. Now, I didn't tell David Foster that I know how to use Melodyne.
Right.
What I told him was I can tune
You
it.
could tune it. Yeah.
And then I was going to tune it my own way, but then I would have to lie and say I did Melodyne when he asked me.
Right.
So I was like, nope, I'm going to go ahead and just challenge myself and do the Melodyne.
Yeah.
He challenged me to do something else. He in London doing the strings. He said, hey, so if I'm in London, I'm doing the strings right now. Can you send me the chart to the song? Can you send me the chart? And I know he's testing me.
Yeah.
He could have just wrote the chart.
Right.
He tested me. And I said, what kind of chart? Do you just need the chord chart? He was like, yeah, chord chart. Now, I know how to read chord charts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I can do one now. I can create one now, but I didn't know how to create a chord chart back then. I know how to read them, but he wanted to see it on staff paper.
Okay.
He there working on the spot. I said, give me a few minutes. I said, I know I can't learn this fast enough. I had to remove my pride.
Oh, wow.
And I reached out to someone who looks up to me. And this young man, nobody really knew who he was much besides his local town. He just really knows how to do this chart stuff and everything. And I just asked him to help me do this chart. I sent him the song. He did the chart exactly the way David wanted it. And wow. I had the chart. I changed a couple of things and I sent it to David. David said, oh my God, thank you. You're a lifesaver. Thank you. And that was the end of that. But then I said, man, I need to learn how to write charts.
Yeah.
So I'm always getting challenged. And I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed to say I don't know how to do something, but I'm going to put myself in a position to learn it. Yeah.
Man, that's just a great way to live life in general. To not be too high on yourself, to not want to learn anything else. Like you said it before, you constantly learn it. There's a lesson in everything. And we just got to put that pride out of the way. Because I know, and you could speak to this, people will hype you up so much based on what you've done that if you're not careful, you start believing that hype. But you won't go any further. You'll be resting on the past stuff and not evolving. So with that said, like you talked about technology everything's changing. Like you've seen the change from 2-inch going into Pro Tools, and we see now we're in the age of AI. Like, how are you utilizing this new technology in your productions?
At the exact moment, I'm not tapping into AI because um, the things that AI are doing, I just don't want. First of all, we're talking about the fine print that we don't read.
True.
There's a lot of technology out there. We want the benefits from it, but we're not reading the fine print.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like reading the fine print of something that I already know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
From a songwriting point of view, from creating like that program that can take the inflections of your
Oh
voice and
man.
then put Prince's or Michael Jackson's or James Brown's or someone else's voices on there is amazing. It's like that stuff. I'm just not gonna mess with it. Not right now.
Right.
But I'm not utilizing the AI stuff right now. Um, I am utilizing. I'm gonna tell you what I did do. There's some preset packs. There's some effect, like vocal effect preset packs.
Mm-hmm.
I've looked into and I checked the chains out. I looked at them. I was like, well, why is this here? Why is that there? If anything, I use it to dissect. It's like it's my frog. It's my production
Mm.
frog. I'm dissecting what they are saying works. Why is this doing this?
Right.
Oh, this is just a big hall reverb that has a delay on the end, and they just sold it for $90. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm like, and what it is we don't feel like working. So we like that it just shows up. Put that on the track and it worked. But I like working. I like creating,
Yeah.
and I don't like things getting washed out. And so I'm utilizing the technology by studying it and seeing what's good about it, what's bad about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's pros and cons.
Yeah. I love that. I love like putting on something and you trying to figure out like, okay, what exactly is this doing? Like there
Exactly.
there's a
Yes.
there's a plugin I like to use on my master chain called the God Particle.
Mm.
It I don't know, it's like a saturator, EQ, a compressed bus compressor, a limiter, all in one, but it colors the mix in a really nice way. But it's an algorithm or a EQ curve made by Jason Joshua. He's like the creator of it. And so I saw a guy doing exactly what you just talked about. He took a couple plugins and like did the EQ curve and just showed like this is what's going on under the hood of this piece that you just slap on and you're like, oh, that sounds great. I just leave it there. So I I like learning stuff like that too, just so I know what I'm talking about. Like if somebody asks, man, how did you do that? I want to know, like, I want to know how it works.
Because Yeah, because think about it. When we used to mix on the XSLs and stuff, they got that sheen button. They got it. They got a compressed button. We're not running through warm
Yeah, circuits and
preamps
stuff. Yeah.
anymore and circuits and stuff. So we're losing some of those things. So they're finding ways to do that
Mm-hmm.
and to tweak that. And I think it's great that if there is a plugin that did what you just said, I'm going to look into that
Yeah.
because the truth is I'm I'm a producer first.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mixer second.
Yes.
I'm a masterer none.
Exactly.
So for me, I've had to somebody that felt like sending to a mastering place, and I had to turn it up and regulate it and work it, and I had to find ways to master something.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not a mastering guy, so I would love to find out what can go on my master bus that's going to help the mix go to mastering. And then sometimes we could do too much on the master bus, and then
Yeah.
the mastering guy's like, "Yo, man, I didn't have nowhere I can go.
Right.
You pushed me already."
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
so that can happen too.
Oh,
So
that happens a lot. That happens a whole
yeah,
lot. Now, there's certain things that I know that I want to make sure that I'm sending to a mastering engineer. Like, you're not going to, I don't want him to do too much, but I want him to do what he knows how to do to, like you said, to enhance that mix
yeah.
into a master. But okay, so going, you mentioned it. You are a producer first and a mixer second. when your song is ready for the mixing stage, what kind of instructions are you giving to a mix engineer?
Actually, I'm not giving them any instruction anymore.
Okay.
Uh, One thing I try to do for them is I'll attempt to do blends that I like
Mm-hmm.
in a two mix, and I send them that too,
Yeah, yeah.
so they can A B what I was hearing. Sometimes it's not fair as a mixer, we do things what we hear. They be like, man, where I can't hear the harp. I'm like, well, okay, I can just turn it up,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't hear the harp as being as important
Right.
as maybe you do.
Yeah.
So I give the mixer an idea of what I heard. And what I'm looking for a mixer to do is what I can't do.
Right.
And I've spent so many years doing different things. It's like now I can kind of do what they do, but it's all about frequencies
Mm-hmm.
and balancing the frequencies out. And but I give them that two mix of what I hear. And then if there's something out there that I like how the mix is,
Mm-hmm.
how it's already mastered, just how it's pumping,
Yeah.
if I got some similarity to it, I'll send them a say, hey man, check out such such and such such. I'll send them the link, or I'll send them a two mix so they can hear a little bit of where I'm going. And they always say, yeah, I see what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Got you. I got it. And then that's it.
Yeah.
At that point, I let them mix. Then I tweak. And then I'll let them tweak what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do timestamps. I don't just talk to them and say, "Hey, man," I don't do in generalization
Mm-hmm.
statements. I don't say it just needs to feel warmer. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to say, "Hey, um, I think it could be. I want it to feel a little warmer, possibly within the drums." I said,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, but let's start with the. We'll have a conversation about where they got the bass and what they're using on it, and
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll tell them to be honest with me. Is my kick not enough for you to get what you need to do? And then there's been times that I sent them a mix of everything except for the kick was separate,
Mm.
so they can turn up the kick
Yeah.
on their own.
Yeah.
And I've sent mastering engineers stems before and
Okay.
said, so they can tweak the frequencies of those particular areas, and because they might tweak something that turns it down,
Right.
but then they can boost it. So it's like it depends on what is needed. I have no rules for mastering guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
None.
The game is changing too, especially now with Dolby Atmos, which,
Oh God.
man, let me.
I'm about to get certified. I'm about to be Dolby Atmos certified too. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
I'm about to go do that.
Yeah, I'm
Got to do
I'm
that.
coming right behind you doing the same thing. Uh, we sat through a seminar type thing at NAM. Jimmy, man, I'm forgetting his name right. Jimmy Douglas. He's a mix
Hmm.
engineer for Justin Timberlake and a lot of Timberland stuff, right? So he
Okay.
he was uh, previewing a lot of old Justin Timberlake songs from like this 2020 album, but mixed in Dolby. So we're sitting in this immersive experience, and it is,
I bet you was.
oh my god, it was so incredible. And I think I do think that it is the future, but from a consumer standpoint, I'm not sure how fast it's going to be before everybody's caught up. But I do think it's important for us to start doing these mixes in Dolby. So,
Oh no, 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 absolutely. First of all, Apple Music is elevating playlist positions based on you doing something in Dolby
yes,
Atmos,
and payouts,
and
payouts too.
and and payouts, and it's going to catch on. And then our earbuds, when we turn around, we can hear
Yeah,
the spatial stuff. It's like
yeah,
technology's going where it's going. We better get with it.
yes.
That's just kind of where it's going.
So Alex, tell me, can you share some behind the scenes stories or some memorable experiences that you've had in the studio? anything from working with artists or whatever, any good stories that you could think of right off the top of your head.
Some stories, the best stories, have NDAs behind them,
Right.
so I can't tell those. Um, but there have been interesting things where there's a particular story. Me and Kim Burrell, we was working on "Oh Lord, You've Been Good to Me," and she comes in the studio. She had just got her nails done, and they were fabulous, as they will say.
Hmm.
And as she's playing the song on the piano, I'm hearing all this click, 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 click. And I'm just like, no, this ain't working. And then she was like, I don't know what to do. I just got them done. I was like, you have to get them done over. So my answer, my first solution was to take them things off. I
Yeah.
was about to cut them off. She paid so much, whatever, to get them done. So she was like, I ain't doing that. So it was a thing where I was like, I don't know what to do. So then I got a bright idea to put tape on her nails. And oh no, Lord, you've been good to me. She's playing with a whole bunch of
Oh my God.
mask tape on her fingers. She's playing that song with all of that tape.
Oh my goodness.
Uh, that's a story. Another good. I have so many, man. It's just so hard to talk about them all with these different artists. I do know that I've always had a challenge with good projects. There's always something bad happens. A disk
Mm.
drive dies.
Oh yeah.
Files missing. I was in a studio with the Clark sisters once in Detroit, and it was the only date they can do for the next 2 or 3 months,
Mm.
where they all gonna be in the same room. And what ended up happening was my disk drive is set to session file backups to back up everything.
Okay.
But the computer I was working on in Detroit, their stuff is set not to back up stuff.
Oh wow.
So what happened was when I hooked my drive to their computer, it told my drive not to back up stuff.
Oh.
So when I did all this great recording on the song that Twinkie did, that her sister sung with her on, I get home and something happened to where I didn't have none of their files.
Wow.
And I'm just like, this is crazy. So I said, man, no fret. This session's corrupted. That's what it was. I said, I'll just go to session file backup. I'll just go before I left the studio and get it. And there was no session file
Oh
backups in there.
man.
I just had tears streaming down my face. Because how do I call the Clark sisters and tell them I don't have none of your vocals?
Wow.
That's incompetency to them.
Right.
That would be that to the label that trusted me to do the song.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense. So I had a recycle bin full of made it. He's like, God. I'm like, I got a recycle bin full of everybody's stuff doing that. So after the tears fell, I told my assistant at the time, I said, I'm just going to have to do this. I can't tell them
Wow.
I lost these files. Do you know I'm telling you that I lost them? They don't know that I lost those files yet. Because what's funny is I spent 2 weeks. It took me every day for hours, 2 weeks. I had to go. I went to Karen, and I went to her eye. I had to find the best one, moved it in. Then I just built, like, for a couple of days. I took a day or two for each person, and I
Wow.
built their parts. It took me 2 weeks.
Man.
And if you go listen to I Made It on Twinkie's album that I did, you'll see that that's a song. They sung it, but I had to make it make sense.
Oh, that is crazy.
And yeah, and that told me that I'm not invincible,
right.
and that I got to be a little bit better with housekeeping, with disk drives.
Yes.
Name everything and make sure session file backup is there, and always, create additional sessions. I mean, I just learned a lot of I made some mistakes, and I've learned some. And it wasn't even my fault, but it
Mm-hmm.
was my fault because I'm the producer.
Right.
So little stuff like that, and always Kim stories. So
Yeah.
it's always Kim stories. One other Kim story was on Prodigal Son, a producer thing I had to do. I couldn't get her to relax while she was singing her verse
Mm-hmm.
because the verse is, "What happened to the day?"
Oh
It's very
yes.
calm.
Very.
And she was like, "What happened to the day?" It was just too aggressive. I couldn't find a way, we couldn't find a way or the best approach. And I realized that sometimes with an artist, it's hard to relax when you're full of adrenaline and stuff. So I got a bass drum mic.
Mm.
And so, because a bass drum mic only sit that
Right.
high. And I put the Sony on top of there. And then I had her lay down and sing that verse.
Oh wow.
That verse is her laying down on the floor singing.
Wow. See, that's the kind of
And
stuff. That's the kind of stuff
and
I'm
she
talking
laughed
about.
at me.
Yeah.
She well, that had to be done.
Yeah.
That had to be done.
For you to think
And
that though, for you to think on that level, like this is the lengths that we have to go to get this achieved result. Like how did that come to you?
I've said to myself, man, I said, you got to imagine yourself like you laying down and singing, like you just relax, like you just on the floor like this, just singing like this. And I was like, put her on the floor.
Mm.
Now, I guess that was the Holy Spirit. That wasn't
Yeah,
me.
for
I was
sure.
like, okay, gave me a solution.
Yeah.
But I had to come up with solutions on everything. And no matter who I used on, like the song I found them,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't matter who I was using on keyboards. It wasn't working. It wasn't the Kim Burrell sound. It just wasn't working.
Yeah.
And we was like, so I put her on the piano, and I was like, cool, that helped it. But then the organs wasn't working. The different people I tried, it didn't work,
Mm.
including myself.
Yeah.
So I had a bright idea. She needs to play the organ. So, but I had my boys, the twins, I had them bring the organ in the control room.
Oh wow.
And then Kim played the organ in the control room, and she was like a little kid killing it. So Kim's on. I found them playing the piano and the organ because she was the only one that could play it.
Wow.
So as a producer, putting your pride aside that maybe you're not the one for the job,
Oh
you
yeah.
got to be ready to do what's best. So
Yeah,
yeah.
man. That's great maturity and just really being humble. I mean, you got to know those kind of things, man. With that said, like that album, Everlasting Life of Kim Burrell, in my opinion, was a shift in gospel music. And I think that she raised a generation of singers that we have today. In God,
Well, I totally agree. I mean, that's anyone that says otherwise just don't have the information.
right.
I mean, it's very true. I mean, even myself, I remember the things that I went through doing the record emotionally, just with myself, and I almost gave up a few times on some things,
Mm.
and to hear people tell me today, man, you don't know what you did for me,
Yeah.
but this one gets me, man. I was 8 years old. I was 10 years old.
Oh,
Man, I was 12.
right.
Man, I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, 5? I'm like, listen here. These are the guys, they're doing wonderful today. They're taking over because I inspired them at kid level. I had a responsibility, let
Mm-hmm.
me put it that way, to inspire the next. And
Yeah.
that just followed me for years, man. It's like that's who I am. That's what I try to do.
Right.
I had no idea that record was going to inspire and create a revolution. I just didn't.
Man, well, what a legacy to have, man. Honestly, all of your music, all your productions are top notch, every single one. And but to have something
Oh
like,
man, bless you. Thank you.
thank you for allowing God to use you, man. But
Hmm.
that album is amazing. I'm fortunate to I didn't know him at the time, but he became my father-in-law, Chuck Smith.
That's what's crazy. That's
It
crazy.
is.
Like
It
that's
is.
so that is just crazy. And yeah, man, Chuck is still amazing today, man. It's like
Absolutely.
actually Chuck Smith is the first, I would say the first musical project, I mean, that really I was able to do like my ideas and how I felt. He was the first project I worked on.
Oh man.
That was before Kim. That was
Yeah.
before Minute Standard. That was before Kim. Chuck let me, we just sat in the, in the basement and
Hmm.
worked on music and created stuff. And Chuck was just, he's just amazing.
Oh yeah.
I had to bring him on this record because I know nobody was going to do what he do.
Right. That's real.
And Chuck Smith's a bass player, by the way, guys. He's
Yes.
he's he's in Dallas, Texas right now, and he'll pull out his bass and he'll hit you over the head with it. Like he's
Absolutely. Absolutely.
just amazing.
I get the,
You married his
I
daughter.
married his oldest daughter. Yes.
Yeah.
But I get to mix Chuck every week at church for a broadcast
That's
mix,
okay.
and man, the stuff that he just chooses to do, like it's so unlike anybody else. He is on his own
I
island for
know.
sure.
That is so crazy. I know. You don't have to tell me.
Yeah, man. But man, so as we're coming towards the end of this conversation, man, I want to find out from you. This is a gear question.
Okay.
If you could only have one piece of equipment, what would it be?
Logic.
Okay, please explain.
Log, Logic Pro X.
Okay.
If I have a laptop with Logic Pro X on there and I don't even have a controller and I don't have anything, I can make music. They have that imaginary board on there, keyboard on there,
Mm-hmm.
so I can just play on there. I can spell out chords if I just needed to. There's samples in there. There's loops in there. I can program my drums with the imaginary keyboard on there.
Mm-hmm.
I can still create music without having a keyboard, an external keyboard, without. I mean, Logic Pro X is my friend when it comes to programming music
Yeah.
because even though I play everything and you know, I don't use samples much. I don't. I don't. Yeah, I'm very authentic,
Mm-hmm.
but to not have an external keyboard, it's kind of hard to do it because I love drums. I program
Yeah.
drums and I love the bass. Will be hard, but I just need Logic Pro X because I can do everything I need to do in there.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a great
To be
choice.
honest with you,
Yeah, man. So, okay, Asaph. So, if you have any advice, man, for any upcoming musicians, producers, engineers, any creatives, just what advice would you give somebody who wants to get into this? And then just talk a little bit, if you want to, about some of the uh, products or services that you're offering now to help these creatives.
okay. Well, I truly believe that God makes everybody unique. I believe He makes everyone different. He gives us all something different. I don't believe that a person should give up. And with that being said, everyone should pray for being affirmed by what they do and try not to be affirmed by what other people say about you because we'll work on music and we might post it. If we get 5 likes, we'll make people, it makes us feel like people just don't like what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And really the culprit is social media. They only let you see 5% of your people with it, all kind of stuff.
Man.
But I I believe a creative should be affirmed by what they do and not so much what people think
Right.
or what people
Right.
say. I want to be able to be accessible to creators that need help. One of the things that I created was I created affordable products to help people because money and time are the two things that keeps people from achieving their goals and their
Mm-hmm.
dreams. So one of the things that I did, I have an 8 chord piano program. I reverse engineered how I learned how to play any
Mm-hmm.
song, and I created a program for people who've never played keyboards. They don't have you. You could have no experience in playing anything, and you can have some experience. It doesn't really matter. You can learn how to play any song in 90 days. I
Wow.
created that. And it's very affordable. What made me do it was there are a lot of songwriters that's always reaching out. Hey, I need somebody to put some music to my stuff, and I'm always waiting for this person. And this person put the music, and then they took the song and gave the music to somebody else. And da da da
Hmm.
da da da. These songwriters can get this 8 chord program, and in 90 days they can be playing their own music to their own songs.
Wow.
Um, and all of that product is at my asaphward.com. Asaphward.com. You'll see an 8 chord program there. I also have vocal strengthening, where a person, I help people with their weaknesses vocally. And that product is also at asaphward.com. I'm creating products to help people be able to level themselves up in the weaker areas of their life versus just trying to make them feel good about themselves, just trying to help people get what they need. But the one I'm endorsing the most right now is the 8 chord program, because the more people understand music and the more that they can contribute to the community, they can they can make the world a better place. So that's definitely there, and you can reach me at the aceofward.com, or of course you can inbox me on those social media platforms, which is Asaph A Ward is at Instagram. And then of course Asaph Alexander Ward is going to be at Facebook. But that's really what it is.
Well, man, I'm so proud of what you're doing, man, and I'm definitely gonna be doing that chord the pack thing. Me and my wife was talking about that. That's something we really want to do. So we thank you, man, for allowing you to let God use you to use your gifts in order to bless people, man. It's so needed, and this conversation has been so good, man. I understand why the enemy is trying to attack it so much because you know it's some gold in these conversations, man. So thank you so much for just coming on and blessing this platform. I love you and appreciate you. And everyone out there, please go support Asaph. Again, asaphward.com, and just get everything that you can get from him because it's it's amazing. So y'all remember, go subscribe to this channel for more great content coming in the future. And I'll see you guys next time in the studio. Peace.